Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 6th edition of Ladies in Tech that is brought to you by Collabs in partnership with Innovation Saskatchewan. I'm Anu Tandukar, and I'm the program coordinator here at Collabs. I'm very thrilled to have massive participation for today's event from all prairie provinces, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. And I guess that's the beauty of these virtual events, that it reduces the geographical boundary and helps to bring us all together. As you are all getting ready to transition from tackling your professional endeavors to your personal ones, I want to assure you that the next hour is going to be filled with a very enriching and impactful discussion. For those of you who have tuned in to our past Ladies in Tech events, you know that Chloe had been spearheading this D&I project, but I'm very happy to share that I have taken over some of the responsibilities pertaining to Ladies in Tech starting this year. Just to give you a little bit of background on Ladies in Tech event, it is a biannual event that we host in partnership with Innovation Saskatchewan with a goal to highlight the exceptional women working in the tech industry in the prairies. And with so much happening in the tech sector of the prairie provinces, be it Calia's Series A raise or 7Shifts and NEO's Series B, we're sure about one thing. The tech sector is really thriving in the prairies. And today, we have an excellent lineup of speakers who have contributed a great deal to make that happen. I'm very excited about the panel discussion that we're going to have today on the topic, cultivating a growth mindset. But before I introduce our awesome moderator and kick things off, I would like to invite Rebecca Gibbons, who is the Executive Director of Operations at Innovation Saskatchewan, for the sponsors' remarks. So Rebecca, I think you're already there, so please feel free to turn your camera on and maybe share with us a little bit more about Innovation Saskatchewan and its role in enlarging the prairies tech ecosystem. Over to you, Rebecca. Okay, it seems like Rebecca's not here yet, so we'll just move on without the remarks, I guess. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce our amazing moderator, Alison McMillan, who is the CFO at 7Shifts. Ali is someone who loves numbers. After she earned her Master's of Accounting and CA as well as CPA designations, she started working at 7Shifts almost 5 years ago as VP Finance. Fast forward through the close of their Series A and Series B investment rounds, she is now the CFO at 7Shifts and is very passionate about the restaurant industry, solving problems, and scaling their fast-growing organization. So Ali, please allow me to welcome you to the center stage and take the lead. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you so much, Anu, and congratulations on your first Ladies in Tech event. Thanks as well to Innovation Saskatchewan for the sponsorship, and welcome to all. I have been looking forward to this evening and the connections we will form tonight together. And I have the best job tonight. It's teeing up this incredible panel to share their stories about what they are each building here on the prairies. We will also have time for some Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions as you're hearing our speakers tonight, please feel free to put them into the chat, and I'll do my best to monitor the chat, and we'll pull them in at the very end of our hour here together. So with that, I am so excited to introduce our first speaker, Hilary Lungu, Director of People at Neo Financial. Tossing it over to you, Hilary, to introduce yourself to everyone tonight.
Thanks, Ali, and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm the Director of People at Neo Financial. We are a growing, scaling Canadian fintech. I love working for Canadian companies. I've actually only worked for Canadian companies in my career, and Neo has headquarters in Calgary and Winnipeg. We have 2 headquarters. And what drew me to working at the company was really that we're here to disrupt the financial industry and create a better banking experience for Canadians. It's actually from the ex-Skip the Dishes founders who started Neo Financial. So I was really attracted to the growth and the scaling of the company, and as well as what we're set out to do. We have a few different products. We're really innovating the banking industry and creating different products, as well as we have one of the largest reward networks across Canada. So if you see the Neo sticker at different Canadian businesses and that, you get instant rewards back. So it's sort of a unique thing that not other banks are doing. So I love the innovation. My background is about 15 years of experience in business and HR. I worked with a female-founded consulting firm. And then after my second maternity leave, it was bought out by another company. So I joined Suncor Energy. So I went from like a small 35-person company to a 15,000 person company. So totally different. Really like the experience though that I got going in-house and seeing what it was like working inside a company in a few different roles. As my kids were getting like a little bit older and kind of out of diapers and like sleeping through the night and that, I kind of really wanted to get back into an entrepreneurial growing environment. And so I joined Harvest Builders for a bit and then joined one of their portfolio companies, Neo Financial. So love our team. I was a team of 1 back in July and now we're a team of 7. So continuing to scale, and I love what we're doing here and just surrounded by a lot of passionate people.
Thanks, Hillary. I love that as well and can relate in so many ways to what you just said. I'm excited to throw it next to Sandy Foster, Managing Partner at Capstone Ridge Group. Sandy, if you can unmute yourself, there you are. Take it away.
Here I am. Well, my name is Sandy Foster, as I've been introduced, and I'm definitely the most mature lady on this panel. But I'm also very proud to say I'm a pure prairie girl. I was actually born in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon to be exact, and I have green running through my veins, and I still cheer for the Riders, despite
Love
the fact that
that.
I lived in lots of cities. So my story is quite different than Hillary because I've done a lot of things in my time, my professional career, but I started in the tech industry right out of U of S. I only interviewed with 3 companies. They were all, back when we called them computer companies, because that's what they were. That's what our main tech industry was, computer manufacturers. I started there and spent 13 years on a career that had me bouncing from Calgary to Toronto to Regina to Winnipeg. So I've lived in lots of the prairie cities and basically kind of rose up the ranks ultimately to being a leader of the prairies region. And that's when I left the big mothership and dived into the land of entrepreneurs and became part of a leadership team in a Winnipeg-based company of about 25 people, and then eventually spun myself off into my own company and merged and joined with other people over quite a number of years. And I've had product companies and services companies that I've been involved in as a sweat equity / founder. And 10 years ago, I got involved in what I'm currently doing now, which is Capstone Ridge Group. We are a management and IT consulting company. And along the way, I became a certified management consultant, and I'm very, very passionate about business and digital transformation. And a number of years ago, I got myself into angel investing, and on the communities actively involved in multiple aspects of the community and community association. So really excited to be here and be part of this panel.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandy. And I see one of the comments in the thread is actually mature equals wise. And I love that. Throwing it last but not least to Shelly Kuiper. So excited to hear from you, Shelly, co-founder of the 51. If you want to take over, that's great.
Thanks, Ellie. It's great to be here tonight. I'm Shelly Kuipers, one of the co-founders of the 51. There's actually 3 of us. We're co-conspirators, all very different, but we make a great team. Just quick background on myself. I've been in tech for some time, since 1988. So Sandra, I'm like right behind you. I've got the gray hairs, I just color them. But I got into to tech quite early. It was really cool. And the way that I was on the energy upstream side, and I was introduced to technology for upstream energy. And then I was recruited by one company to get on their support desk and support their tech. And I've been in tech ever since then, which is kind of crazy. And then I got bit by my own entrepreneurial bug after the company that I was working with in the 90s was sold to Schlumberger, an energy software company. And I've been a founder or co-founder ever since. And then I've also had the opportunity to invest back into the community that served me so well. And so today I'm all in on the 51. I run a family office with my 2 adult sons and my husband. And that's really what I get consumed with. I'm a grandmother. I have 2 grandsons, which is a very different experience, but I love all things entrepreneurship, venture, and you know, the 51, which I'll share more about that later.
That's great. We are excited to dig in further and learn more, certainly about the 51. First up, let's start with you, Hillary, with the announcement of the small little $64 million Series B round for NEO. Can you start us off and tell us more about this growth, traction, and what's coming up ahead for the team?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really exciting. We're just scaling and have a lot of roles coming available. Specifically in our Winnipeg office, we're about 50 people there, but by the end of 2022, we're looking to be at 300. So a lot of growth for our Winnipeg office, which is really exciting. That's one of our newer offices. So just expanding in Winnipeg is a big focus for us. And then obviously in Calgary, continuing to grow and expand. We've already done a second office move and multiple floors we're taking up. So just continuing to expand our different parts of the business. And yeah, we'll continue to bring on more products. We already have a few and we're just going to continue to expand and innovate.
Yes, I love that. And speaking about the team and the growing team, what do you think inspires women to specifically join the NEO team?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that certainly has been, we've actually had a lot of women join NEO. So when it first started, you know, the percentage of, you know, female to male ratio was definitely way more males than females. And just naturally over the 2 years, we've actually had 5 times the amount of females that have joined NEO. So seeing that percentage go up is great. Obviously in the tech industry, you're going to have, you know, be a little bit more heavily weighted on males and females. But it just happened naturally. It's not like we had like a certain percentage or goal that we wanted to reach this many women. It's just happened over time. And I think kind of the same reason of like why I joined is that you really get ownership of your role and you really get to take on the responsibility. And I think you know, that women that are wanting to like learn and grow and continue to add value and skills to the organization, like you can really come in here and make it your own. And I don't think every company necessarily offers that. And so like, for example, we just had a demo days last week where we have these kind of on a monthly basis where we have different parts of the business will share what they're doing. So maybe there's like a marketing initiative going on. And the last one we did was all women up there talking it. They're all rocking it. They're all taking on different ownerships, talking about their part of the business. And for me, that was just really inspiring to see so many women taking full ownership and responsibility of their role. And so I think for a lot of women, that would probably be pretty attractive, and for men too. But I think that just seeing women and other women seeing that, I think is pretty cool.
Certainly. I couldn't love that more. And it's exciting to watch your growth and the way that you're changing the way Canadians bank. And congratulations on that. Sandy, switching gears a little bit from scaling at a tech company, Capstone is a tech consulting company. So a little bit of a different angle, helping organizations build capacity to innovate, transform the integration of people, process, and technology. Can you expand on this and tell everyone how you spend, even aside from Capstone, your additional time and the impact in other tech-focused organizations?
Why don't I start with my day job, the one that actually pays for all the fun I like to have in life. So Capstone, yes, it's a consulting. We actually have mostly senior people because of the nature of the consulting that we're doing. Where we have about 60 people in Western Canada and Ontario. And as a managing partner, my job is to help craft the business and our service offerings, but our consultants spend their time in a variety of ways, helping our clients actually plan, design, and implement technology. So they can be tech companies, but they're often more tech-enabled companies of the small to medium size for Canada and global companies as well. But I guess the day job is attracting talent, working with people, and we have about a third little over a third of our overall population is women, which is very high in given our age, average age. It's quite high. And I think the reason we have attracted a lot of women is our culture and our values. And, you know, even our those who were in their 30s moving into their 40s when, you know, push came to shove, you've got kids to pick up and drop off and babies to bath. And, you know, I had one consultant that I knew I could always talk to her between 7 and 7:30 at night, because that's when her husband was giving the baby a bath. So being very, very wise as to what a woman's life is like. It's not, those of us who choose the children's path, we have that ball to juggle as well. So I think being flexible, I love the fact that more and more of our clients are really open to interesting models of long days and maybe 4-day weeks and different ways of making a female consultant successful. So my day job and the way that pays the bills, I guess. Other things in my life, I'm currently involved in as the chair of Tech Manitoba, which is one of the industry associations here, and certainly there's lots of that organization, and where we have lots of programs aimed at growth across all aspects of the sector in Manitoba. And you know, I think what's really interesting is trying to get back. What's very sad is in computer science, enrollment has dropped since back in my days. There's something wrong with that picture. And not everybody needs to be going to computer science to get into some of the roles, but many of our people had some computer science background. More and more, there's classes, there's for project management and business analysis and things that are tech related, because a lot of what my company does is helping with we don't do any development. We help implement technology. We have people who do organizational change management. They might come from a business background or a leadership background, or maybe even some aspect of HR. So there's lots of things to surround technology to make it come alive in a company. So there's lots of different, you know, wings and aspects. And certainly with Tech Manitoba, trying to get more people interested and aware of the possibilities in that industry, because we can't grow on the prairies if we don't have that feeder channel of the talent coming in.
No kidding. That certainly is incredibly important, and we can all play a part in that. I had to highlight one thing, Sandy, that you mentioned in our pre-call. You were describing women in tech in the prairies as hard workers, less entitled, friendly, flexible, and have tremendous grit. And Shelley, I think this segues perfectly into talking about Prairie Grit, and one of your investments being Salon Scale, who Collabs knows quite well, and so proud of their success and scaling that they've done to date. So can you tell us a little bit about the origin of the 51 Fund that has invested in Salon Scale? What is a mission, and why you think it's worthwhile with female investors and entrepreneurs to continue to work with them?
Yeah, absolutely, Ali. So yeah, the 51 is really excited that we were early to the days of Salon Scale. That was all championed by Alice Reimer. So she found the company on a road trip to Saskatchewan, and you know, brought the investment opportunity back to the 51. And at that time, we actually didn't have a fund set up. And so, you know, if I kind of go back to the origin story of the 51, we got started in March 2019 with 75 women in my kitchen. We put an entrepreneur in the middle of the room. We said, don't pitch us, tell us your story. And she successfully raised $500,000 Canadian from the women in the room. That was the day that we launched the 51, the whole concept around activating women's capital for women entrepreneurs. And we had a really strong reaction. It was great. You know, some people were repelled by the feminist language. Those that weren't became our community, the kernel of our community today. We are now more than 16,000 across our community, which is really cool. We've activated 16 million in capital. We've invested in 30 companies. 90% of our capital is women's capital, private women's capital from across Canada. And so we had an opportunity to meet Alicia from Salon Scale early in our days. and some of us in the community, put our hand up and said we wanted to invest in her company. The whole premise of the 51 is really to change where the capital is coming from so that we get different outcomes. Change who's managing the capital so we get different outcomes. Some of the statistics are staggering. Investment in women-led companies went down last year. So we were at a large number of 2.8 before the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, we dropped down to 2.3. So the 51 and other like-minded organizations, what we're doing is we're servicing a community that's not being serviced, both women as investors and women as entrepreneurs. And so, yeah, we've got a big ambition for 2030.
No kidding. Thank you for sharing. And I think there's exciting news coming up as well for the 51 Fund, if you wanted to talk about that as well, Shelley.
Yeah, I think I might know what you're talking about. We did raise our Fund 1, and we're investing from that fund right now, but we've just announced another fund called our Food and Ag Tech Fund. We have a lead LP in hand, which is really exciting. Someone that everyone would recognize. And then we're also announcing our Fund 2 to our community, and we're launching broad investor memberships this fall. And it's all part of a massive ambition to activate 2.5 billion in women's capital by the end of this decade for women entrepreneurs.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. One memorable line that I loved reading on your website was, how can Canada's economy reach its true potential if 51% of the population are not fully participating? That's us, 51%. And it really leads perfectly into a story from Hillary that I'd love for you to share. Sometimes all that's holding women back are ourselves. And Hillary, I think you know where I'm going with this, but I would love if you could share your story of how you started with Neo Financial, because I think it's really impactful.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is true for a lot of women, that sometimes we don't put ourselves first, or we sort of downplay ourselves, or we don't think like I'm good enough, or I can do that. And so when I had first joined Harvest Builders, I was an HR business partner there, and I was working with a lot of different tech startups. I really loved that role. I got to sort of work with different entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs as well, that were starting up their own businesses. So it was really exciting. And one of the clients I was working with was our portfolio client, Neo, and they had no one in their HR people department. And so I was like, we need someone in-house. It's time. The company was at over 100 people, and Harvest was, supporting from that perspective. So I wrote the job description for my current role and posted it. And I felt really sad, because I was going to be losing that part of what I was doing at Harvest. And I really loved the founders and their vision and where they were going with the company. And I was really excited about it. I was spending a lot of my time with that company. And so when, the role was posted, I was like, I really want to do that job. But I was like, well, I've only been here for 4 months. I can't apply. I come from a company, you need to be in your role for 2 years before you apply, and just thought, well, I shouldn't move right now. It's not the right time. So again, I didn't apply to it, and I was talking about it with my husband, and he was like, why not? And it's so true. Why wouldn't you just put your hand up? The worst that's going to happen is you're going to be told no. I've been told no a lot in my career. So, I talked to my leader first at Harvest, and I said, I'm interested in this role. And they were like, well, you realize if you don't get it, you're going to have to work with this person anyways. And I was like, I'm fine with that. I'm professional, this happens. And then, so then also talked with, had some meetings with some of the founders and some of the other people at Neo, and eventually then took on the role. And I think sometimes that we either, for myself, I wasn't going to apply because I thought that, I hadn't been in my role long enough. And I was like, well, I haven't been asked. And I think that's another really good one too, is we always think like, well, I'm waiting for someone to ask me to do that. And I think as a female, you need to take ownership of your career. If there's something you want to do, like go for it. Start up those meetings, ask those questions, put yourself out there, because people want to work with other passionate people that are keen and driven. And so instead of sort of being in the passenger seat, like get in the driver's seat and like figure out what you want to do, talk to people where you want to go, and go and apply and put yourself out there. And like, you're maybe going to be told no a lot. I've been told no a lot in my career, but you know, sometimes it works out. And for me, it did. And I'm really happy. And I guess I look back on that experience and I was like, if I hadn't had applied or hadn't have gone forward, that I wouldn't be where I am today. And I would have fully regretted it. Right. So I think that's just like a really common thing. So like, don't play small. You know, set the bar high, and whatever you want to do, like just go for it and talk to other people. That's another thing that in my career, like I talked to a lot of women that had experience or, you know, had done something similar, and I got a lot of inspiration from them too.
Thank you for sharing. And I think it's a great approach of the worst thing that could happen is somebody saying no, and that isn't that bad. It's not that bad of an outcome. So raise your hand, go for it, take on these opportunities, and that's how we'll all continue to scale and grow within the technology industry. I'd also love to hear, go ahead.
One more thing to that, I also think too, if you get a no, is like get feedback as to why, because that's another thing is you like get feedback, like why not, and then you can go and develop that part of yourself to get there. So sorry to interrupt, but that's another thing that I think goes a long way, is asking for feedback.
No, it's great, and it's so important for a growth mindset. That's critical in the industry that we're in right now. Thank you so much. Also, an interesting story that I'd love for you to share, Hillary, is just moving from a 15,000 person company to a scaling startup. And I think there's a lot of people maybe on this call that are from, you know, a different industry at a different scale. And if you could talk about that transition, it might help some people on this call as well.
For sure. Yeah. I was with a big, like large publicly traded company, 15,000 people. I love that role too, though. I learned a ton from it and learned about, you know, collaborating with stakeholders and all that. But I think a lot of us during COVID have kind of like time for some reflection. We all have more time at home and we're not out sort of vacationing and doing different things. So I think for me, it was like a big time for reflection, and it's like, you know, what do I want to look back on? Where do I want to go? And, you know, the oil and gas industry had slowed down a bit, and, you know, our budget was being decreased. I was in employee and leadership development. So there wasn't a lot of like leadership development going on, those kinds of things in the company had really slowed. And so when I heard about that, I heard more about the tech industry in the news, and I thought, that's an industry I really want to get into. Like, I'm really inspired by what they're doing. And it was something that I really wanted to join. And so I did take a bit of a risk, and I took on a totally different role when I joined Harvest. But yeah, there was tons of, for me, it was just about like the growth and just doing something totally different and changing things up a bit from, you know, doing the kind of the same old thing. The other thing I would say when you're with a big company is that in terms of your roles and responsibilities, sometimes it can be fairly narrow. And what I love about being in tech and working at a scaling company is you get your hands in lots of different things and exposure, and there's a ton of variety in your day.
Yes, I love that too. I think about every day at work, and I wish the time flies too fast, and there's so many things to learn and to work on, and every day is different, and it's the best part about being a part of this industry.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
you learn so much from all the different areas of the business too. Like, that's what I love about it, is the business partnering. You get exposure to so many different things. And one thing I do love about Neo too is that there's people who go from, you know, marketing into product, or from my experience team into different areas of the business. So I find that if you want to kind of move to different areas, or you want to start off here and go there, there's lots of opportunities for career growth. And because we're still in that kind of startup growing phase, there's just opportunities to add value in different areas. So I think that's kind of exciting too for people that maybe want to do a bit of a career shift too.
100%. Yeah. So many different opportunities within one company. Switching gears slightly to something I truly love, the money, the investments. Let's talk on the opposite side of funding some of these growing, scaling tech companies. And Sandy, I'll start with you. I'm sure everybody would love to hear more about an angel investment, your angel investment background, and tell us what it's like being a female investor, your current portfolio, what you're looking for making investments.
Well, I think what I'm looking for is what a lot of people are looking for, which are fabulous founders with a lot of strengths, a diverse strengths, the right kind of strengths to pull off a scaling up tech idea with a great business model and an actually ability to execute and scale. And I guess as an angel investor in the prairies, when I got into this 6 years ago, I found myself, I realized there's a group out there called NACO, the National Angel Capital Organization, and maybe I should get involved in that and learn a lot more about what this is all about. And I still think we're a very, very fragmented industry. I'm loving to hear what the 51 is up to. But if you're a founder, and I've worked with lots of founders, it's hard to find your angels on the prairie. They're often family and friends type angels, unless you're aware of or connected with a technology accelerator, or you realized, got involved with NACO and figured out that there's a number of angel groups out there that might have a investment thesis that is appropriate for what you're bringing to the table. And I think what's important is that, and maybe the ecosystem in certainly North America and Canada, we don't see what we see in Silicon Valley for good reasons, because a piece of the angel investment flywheel is actually successful exits. So you have a scaling up company that exits, and it creates the founders come back in to invest in new companies, and the successful angels invest in other companies. And I guess, I'm an example of that, because I was an investor in my first real significant, it wasn't my first, but the one that allowed me to be a more significant angel investor was, I got a ringside seat with the Skips the Dishes rocket ship as a result of being close to the Manitoba Technology Accelerator and meeting the founders and and watching that amazing 11,000% growth over 2 years, and all the amazing things that have eventually led to the NEO, founding NEO. And what's really fun is watching the people who were part of that rocket ship leaving and setting up their own spin-off companies. So my portfolio, interestingly enough, has a number of founders that were formed.
Oh, and I think Sandy just cut off for a second, but there's definitely some incredible connections on this panel between Sandy and Hillary. Oh, she's back.
Oops.
That's
Sorry.
okay, Sandy. You cut off for just a second when you were talking about your connection with Skip the Dishes. So you can start back just about 30 seconds back.
Oh, okay. Well, I am on Elon Musk's low orbiting satellite network, and I was probably changing satellites. Sorry about that. So my Skip, so you heard about the Skip the Dishes and how that got me into angel investing, created the flywheel for me, which I'm now, you asked about my portfolio. I've got about 12 investments, all of them, okay, well, this is 90% of them are disrupting some industry, whether it was consumer electronics, financial services, the flower business, supply chain and delivery, property tech, ed tech. And geographically, I'm not stuck in one place by any stretch. I got 2 in BC and 4 in Alberta, and 1 in Saskatchewan, 3 in Manitoba, 1 in Europe, and now most recently 1 in the US, which is kind of exciting. And again, it's about founders with transformational ideas and the ability to, take something and make a real difference and scale and grow.
I love
on the female front, because somebody had asked me about how many females, so I should be. My investment thesis is invest in the right people for the right reasons, but certainly I am very passionate about female founders, and I have female founder in Manitoba. Many of you might know with Calia, disrupting the flower business, and Alberta, Deal Point, disrupting the deal flow in capital and angel investments, and out of New York, Class Rebel, disrupting learning, lifelong learning and education. So loving having female founders as part of the portfolio, and certainly somewhat love to see more. So
I love that. And Calia just raised a substantial round on their own. So it's so exciting to see the traction, especially from these female founded companies in our ecosystem. And I'm just sitting back thinking about the connections of the three of you and how truly small and connected our Prairie Tech ecosystem is. I was even reading an article this morning in BetaKit that was talking about NEO and the Calgary investment community. Shelley, you were in that article as well. And I think that it would be great to hear more as to what the 51 can do to further support women-led tech companies, and what qualities you look for in your investments, because I think there's a lot of great ideas and sometimes a lack of investment or a path to get there. So everybody would love to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to kind of build off of what Sandy's saying around, and my dog wants to go for a walk, so bear with me. That absolutely, that flywheel is exactly what we're doing at 51. So we know we are now investing, you know, so there's those of us that maybe have had some success, you know, either investing or being an entrepreneur. We're now, you know, venture investors. You know, Alice and I have been for, you know, close to 2 decades. And then, you know, we are investing in women-led companies, founders, CEOs, and they in turn will then become members of our fund. And, you know, that's what's really cool is every founder that we invest in, you know, they come to us and they say they want 51 on the cap table because we're more than just the financial capital. And then they always say, and, you know, when I am successful with this venture, I'm going to turn around and become an investor in the 51. So that flywheel is really important. And we've just, that's why, you know, we always talk about community and capital. It's not one or the other. And, you know, we talk about building the financial feminist economy because there's so much upside. I don't know if you've seen that report that has come out from McKinsey, you know, previously. The statistic for the Prairie provinces is staggering. Women's equal participation in the economy for Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba will add 29 billion to our GDP, and that's by 2026. So the, you know, the upside of women participating in the economy, especially this future economy that we're all building, it's a tremendous economic engine. And so, you know, the 51 really wants to be regarded not just as a social file, but a social and an economic file. But going back to, you know, what we're looking for in founders, our fund one, you know, we took it to market and we were rather, you know, agnostic in what we were looking to invest in. So we've invested in fintech, we've invested in health, women's health, we've invested in devices, we've invested in digital technologies and marketplaces, direct to consumer e-commerce. We're really bullish on, you know, now the future of, you know, omni-commerce and the transactions that can live in any space. And then, you know, from the founder side, we're really looking for women who want to build what we want to see in the world. That's what we say. We want to fund what we want to see in the world. And, you know, it comes with a very, you know, it's very much a founder first mentality. We really want to get to know the founder. We want to know that they're coachable, that they want to surround themselves with people more talented than themselves, and that they have a huge ambition. They want to change the world. And then what we do is we, you know, we go out to our broader network of other venture capitalists, venture firms, venture funds, and, you know, we do our best to stitch up the best capital for for the founder. Sometimes we lead, sometimes we co-lead, sometimes we follow. We invest in Canada and the US. We're really attracted to founders that know how to sell their vision, can raise money, can sell their product, can sell their service, can sell their culture. So sales is a big part of it. And, we believe that, some aspects like brand moat are going to be the future versus, having to pay for access to participants in certain social channels. So we're really excited about the future, and you can check out our portfolio. Oh, there it is. Somebody's dropped it in the chat, and our investment criteria is there as well. We are starting a Founder Friday, the last Friday of every month. So we're going to do one tomorrow, where women founders from across Canada and the US are invited to learn more about us.
That's great. And it's an important investment strategy. You mentioned McKinsey. I did not hear those stats before about the Prairie Provinces, but one that I always think about is companies in the top quartile for gender diversity on executive teams were 21% more likely to outperform on profitability and 33% more likely to have industry leading profitability. So more of that, and thank you for investing in lots of these companies that are coming up and disrupting really cool industries going forward. Looks like we have about 5 minutes before we will open it up for Q&A. So how about we end with a quick speed round question for everyone watching this webinar. What is one piece of advice you would give to the audience? And I'll throw it to you first, Hillary. Oh, you are still muted.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I think I said earlier that would probably be my biggest piece of advice, is just to, keep trying and keep applying and talk to people, and don't be afraid to hear no. I think also don't be afraid to try something new too. I think we can also get sort of just kind of comfortable in kind of our roles. And I think if you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning and growing. And as much as it's sometimes hard to get out of your comfort zone and go try something new, I think it's just so important for us to keep learning and growing and contributing. And it doesn't need to be even in your role, whether that's joining like a board or getting involved in the community or anything like that. I think especially during COVID, I know for myself, I find myself getting in a bit of a rut. And so there's still tons of things going on, even though sometimes we're a bit more virtual. But I would just say, go put yourself out there and go get uncomfortable. It's the only way we're going to learn. Don't worry about having all the answers. I think some of my biggest failures have been and I've had many of them, but I think some of my biggest failures have been my biggest learnings. And then I've taken that into my career. My husband and I had gone down to Brazil, and we started a beach bar down there when we were in our early 20s. And it was something where we had no clue what we were doing, and things broke down and the business wasn't that successful. But that experience of owning a business really shaped me and really gave me the appreciation too for what it's like to run a business. And a lot of the things that I learned about starting a business and managing staff and all of that was just something that I have taken into my career. So don't worry about having all the answers and just go for it.
Thank you. That's a great tip. And Sandy?
Well, everything that Hillary said, plus I think the other dynamic of advice is don't underestimate the importance of building a network. Build your network, find your mentors, and also give back where you can. It's a two-way street. I think women, we're not all of us are as good as we could be at networking, and networking for purposes of understanding and learning and finding other ways. I guess the other thing is invest in yourself in continuous learning and wisdom. There's still so much, the world is changing quickly. Keep, sharpening that saw and have fun. I think, as you're making mistakes, and don't, if you can, accept that we're all going to make mistakes. Don't be afraid, and laugh, have fun.
I love
I
that.
love
Sarah.
that.
Fun.
Excellent, excellent advice. And Shelley, rounding it out with you.
Yeah, if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur or you have an idea, get to work on it. And then likewise, if you want to become an early stage investor, an angel investor, there's so many resources out there. You can learn so much online. There's so many communities now, like the 51, like Well. The 51's a member of NACO, we're a member of the Canadian Venture Capital Association. Like, it's one big broad community that's looking for activation in many different ways, both your financial and human capital. So just get started. It's a tremendous opportunity. There's going to be so much innovation driven by women in this next 10 years. Women are set to control 65% of the wealth by the end of this decade. What are we going to do with that wealth? It's a huge opportunity. We can really reshape the communities and the companies and the innovation and the products and services that we want to see. So get started. If you're an entrepreneur, get started. If you are an investor, just get at it.
Perfect. Thanks, Shelley. We will start some Q&A. Thanks to Chloe. She's sending over lots of questions. And so we will get through as many as we can. The first one's for you, Shelley. What are the perks of the membership in the 51? And do all businesses you invest in become members?
Yeah, so we're, like I said earlier, we're a founder first organization. So once you're part of our community as a founder, like we will do everything that we can to support you, whether or not we invest in you. And so, founders are not required to become members. You're just part of our community. We have a financial feminist membership, which is kind of an aspiring community of founders and investors where you learn all things financial feminism. It's a really cool community and experience. And then the investor membership, the perks are, obviously you get to participate in our funds. You have access to early stage education. You have this network of amazing women and men around you. You get to co-invest side by side with our fund in any investment. And so, for example, if our food and ag tech fund invests in a founder that you really believe in, you as an investor membership can invest side by side with the fund. And so we're really trying to democratize participation. We will be taking advantage of the new eligible investor opportunity here in Alberta, where eligible investors can now participate in early stage investing. So any democratization, including our partnership with Front Funder, we're all over it. We are not, we are not an organization and a platform to make the wealthy wealthier. We are a financial feminist organization to bring financial feminism to as many people as possible. So we've really tried to make everything extremely accessible, but ping me directly, email me if you've got more questions.
Perfect. And I see you dropped your email in the chat, so that is perfect. Next question is for everyone. What is your perspective on work-life balance? Does it even exist as high achievers and entrepreneurs? Roundtable, whoever wants to start can unmute and jump in.
Do you want me to jump in?
Sure.
I think it's extremely challenging. Doing this is not for, the faint of heart or whatever that saying is. Like, be ready for it. You're going to have some amazing days. You're going to have some not amazing days. But, as long as that trajectory is, going in the right direction, but you aren't going to have work-life balance. They are going to leak into each other. And so it goes back to, what we heard from the panelists earlier. You have to take care of yourself. And so it starts with you. You have to look after you if you're going to look after your family, if you're going to look after your company, after your teammates, after your investors. And it's so hard to put yourself at the front of the line, but you have to do it if you are going to thrive as an entrepreneur, and build a company that's going to, be a game changer. So that would be what I would say.
Thank you. And throwing it to you as well, Hillary, I myself have 2 young kids, which I know you do. And some days you feel like you can take on the world, and other days you feel like you're failing at work and you're failing as a mom and you don't have time to do all the things that you need to do. And I'm sure you have a perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I totally echo what's been said about this, and Shelley, what you said, that I don't think there really is an answer. I don't think you ever really get full work-life balance. It is kind of a bit of a sacrifice that you have to make. My main thing is ask for help. We have 2 sets of grandparents that are very involved with the kids and love the kids as much as we do. So get a support network around you of people that can help out. My husband and I are very interchangeable with the kids too. So I do the morning, and so I get up in the morning with our company. We start a little bit later, so I get up in the morning and do the morning thing. My kids start school at 8:30, and I don't go into work until like 9. And my husband makes dinner at night, and then I come home, just in time to have dinner and finish off the rest of the night. And sometimes I don't, and that's okay too. And I know that those days I plan ahead. But I would just say, like, ask for help and just don't be too hard on yourself. Like, you're sometimes going to be nailing it at work, sometimes nailing it at home, sometimes neither. And you just have to be okay with that. I know for myself that I'm a better mom because I love what I do. I love coming into work. I get up every day and I want to come to work. Like, I'm so excited on Monday morning when the day rolls around and it's time to come in. And I know I come home, and I know there's tons of stats on that too. I know Simon Sinek has a really great one on that, and talking about, like, if you're in a job that you don't like, and then you're coming home and maybe you have that extra time with your kids, but you're unhappy in what you're doing, then, your kids are going to feel that. So I hope that they feel the energy I feel from what I get to do every day and being part of this exciting growth and company, that it is hard, but ultimately I'm a better mom because of it. So I don't know, that's how I feel, but everyone's different with how much time they need in terms of for themselves and for, at home. So whether you work part-time or whatever fills your cup, and just never compare yourself to anyone else. Like, never, ever. Like, you do what works for you, because this works for one person doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. So I've really spent some time, like, really going inwards and figuring out what's the right balance for me and what fills my cup, and don't care about what other people think, which is really hard to do.
100%. You have to avoid Instagram and all the other strong mom games that are going on. Last question of the night. I'll throw it to you, Sandy. What do you think are the biggest gaps in the prairie ecosystem hindering our fabulous founders from being an international success?
Well, the beginning starts with, there's multiple ways of getting started, right? And not everything starts with angels. Some of your start could start with, what they might call non-dilutive funding from government programs, and getting involved and taking advantage of all the wonderful things that are happening in Canada to help the startup ecosystem come alive. We have North Forge and the Manitoba Technology Accelerator here in Manitoba. We got CoLabs. We got all kinds of great stuff happening in Alberta. There's lots and lots of places for support. And then access to money, friends and family, angels. The angel issue, I think, is frankly education and awareness. I'm very pleased that NACO is working with a lot of organizations right now. I'm part of similar to being inspired by the 51. There's another female investors, the Women's Equity Lab, of which it started off in Vancouver, Victoria, Okanagan, where we've now got a chapter starter. I guess we're a group, angel group, starting we're going to build a fund that will be funded by female investors. So that helps with getting more people into the pot. But it really is having heightened awareness of how important the startup and scaling up adventures are going to be for the future of the economy. And people who have money that, you know, have made their maybe corporate careers and have look at a balanced portfolio of how you're going to invest in your future and put some of it into private equity. And we do need the flywheel effect. We need more successful companies that also create more successful investors that'll put money back in, and more founders that put money in. So we, you know, I have hope, but we're not at the head of the pack, that's for sure. But I think we have a lot of upside potential because of the prairies. People in the prairies tend to really think local and support local. So we need to take that into the investment world. That would be my view.
Thank you for sharing, and such a great close. Ladies, this was fun, inspiring, and I'm so thankful to now be connected with all of you. I will throw it back to Anu for some closing remarks.
Whoa. Am I on? Okay. I don't know about you all, but I absolutely love that power, knowledge, and insights packed discussion. Thank you so much, Shelley, Sandy, and Hillary, for that very enriching and inspiring discussion on cultivating a growth mindset. What really stood out to me is that the women should raise their hands, take a chance, and go for it. You know, don't play small, and make sure that you don't forget to have fun while doing it all. I really like that. And Ali, I cannot thank you enough for moderating that amazing panel and bringing the best out of each speaker. You are amazing. Now it's time to wrap things up. And once again, I would like to thank our amazing supporters. Events like Ladies in Tech would not be possible without the support of our friends over at Innovation Saskatchewan, Prairie Scan, the University of Saskatchewan, and Innovation Place. We are very fortunate to receive continuous support from you over the years that have really helped enlarge the tech ecosystem in the prairies. Also, thanks to all the amazing attendees for supporting and tuning into Ladies in Tech. We're also very excited to work with other female-focused nonprofits such as WESC, that's helping women entrepreneurs to grow their businesses and start their businesses as well. So WESC also offers financing for up to $150,000 to make to the majority of women-owned businesses. And you can log on to wesc.ca to find out more about them. And it's finally time to say goodbye. Thanking you for tuning in, everyone. I have just one more announcement before we sign off. We have 2 more super exciting events coming up this year. Community is what's next and happening on the 24th of November. And co-launch finale is also soon approaching. We'll be back in mid-December for the co-launch finale, where the top 3 to 5 startups from our current co-launch cohort will pitch their idea and company for a $20K in non-dilutive funding. We'll be sending more details as soon, so stay tuned and have a good night, everyone. Take care. Bye.